The Rhymers Club was a group of writers who were associated with the movement named as Decadent Movement. Many leading figures of the Decadent Movement were the members of Rhymers Club. They were Ernest Dowson, Arthur Symons, Lionel Johnson and others. Oscar Wilde was also associated with this group, but he was not a formal member of the Rhymers Club. He used to visit the club and discuss and participate in the proceedings of the club. The primary aim of the Rhymers Club was to discuss each other's literary works. The Rhymers Club tried to recapture something of the Gaelic spirit of art, and it had no specific rules or principles. Welcome back to Literature Guide. The second group is Bloomsbury Group. The Bloomsbury Group came into being in the second decade of the 20th century. It took its birth in Gordon Square house of Leslie Stephen. Some of the chief members of the Bloomsbury Group were Lytton Strachey, Vanessa Bell, Clive Bell, Virginia Woolf and Lionel Woolf. The primary aim of the Bloomsbury Group was to hold discussion in pursuit of truth, and it expressed its contempt for conventional way of thinking, and it advocated progressive rationality and tolerant agnosticism. The Bloomsbury Group was not a formal group as such. It was a loose group of writers of the first quarter of the 20th century. This is my fourth video on this series of literary clubs and groups. The first video was Scribblers Club and Kit Kat Club. The second one was on the Blue Stockings Group and the Lunar Society. The last one was Knickerbocker Group and Hartford Wits. If you really like the content produced by this channel, do like and subscribe Literature Guide. If you want to get more information, you can visit a website. The link of the website is there on the screen. Let's dive into a video and enjoy the video.
Rhymers Club. The Rhymers Club was actually a meeting place of the budding poets of the 1890s. Many poets of the decadent movement of the 1890s were associated with the Rhymers Club. It was situated at Cheshire Cheese in Fleet Street, London. It got increased in size when it came in contact with Herbert Horn's artists group at Fitzroy Street in 1891. Arthur Symons, the cicerone of the age, has described the objectives and origin of the Rhymers Club in his essay on Ernest Dowson. It was arranged that the poets would read and discuss each other's poems. They would try to recapture something of the Gallic spirit of art and the charm of open discussion in the Latin Quartier in London. It is important to note that the Rhymers Club had no specific rules or officers. The Rhymers Club comprised the following members: Ernest Dowson, John Davidson, Arthur Symons, William Butler Yeats, Victor Plarr, George Arthur Greene, Lionel Johnson, Edwin J. Ellis, Ernest Rhys, Arthur Cecil Hillier, Richard Le Gallienne, Ernest Radford, Thomas William Rollestone, and John Todhunter. Though Oscar Wilde attended a few meetings at the Rhymers Club, he was never a member of the Rhymers Club. There were a few permanent guests of the club like John Gray, Edward Rose, J.T. Nettleship, Morley Roberts, A.B. Chamberlain, Edward Garnett, and Edward Theodore Peters. Bloomsbury Group. The emergence of the Bloomsbury Group can be traced in 1904. It was a loose group of modern literary artists. It was situated in 46 Gordon Street, Bloomsbury area, London, at the house of Leslie Stephen, father of Vanessa Bell and Virginia Woolf. The Bloomsbury Group did not observe any doctrine and it had no specific objectives. It was not a formal group as such, but it appeared on the literary scene in the 1920s with the formation of the Memoir Club in the house of Leslie Stephen. It was influenced by the moral philosophy of George Edward Moore's propounded in Principia Ethica, published in 1903. According to Vanessa Bell, the Bloomsbury group was linked by a taste for discussion in pursuit of truth and contempt for conventional ways of thinking and detestation for conventional morals. It promoted tolerance in relationship. The members used to discuss political and literary affairs of the period. The Bloomsbury group can be considered as a revolt against Victorian Puritanism and pretensions. It had great influence on British culture between 1920 and 1940. Some of the members of the Bloomsbury group were Vanessa Bell, Virginia Woolf, John Maynard Keynes, Lytton Strachey, Leonard Woolf, E.M. Forster, Roger Fry, David Garnett, Duncan Grant, Desmond and Molly MacCarthy, and Clive Bell. Lytton Strachey, one of the leading figures of the Bloomsbury group, brought inventiveness in the art of biography. He produced a remarkable work, Eminent Victorians, a collection of 4 biographical essays of Cardinal Manning, Florence Nightingale, Thomas Arnold, and General Charles George Gordon. Lytton Strachey earned name and fame with its publication in 1918. The work reflects Strachey's detestation for the moral pretensions of the Victorian age. Another famous work of Lytton Strachey, called Elizabeth I and Essex, A Tragic History, appeared on the scene in 1928. It describes the relationship between Elizabeth I and her father. The work conveys the impact of their relationship on Earl of Essex. It is important to note that Lytton Strachey was also a member of the Apostles. Vanessa Bell, the chief figure of the Bloomsbury group, produced several portraits of the members of the group. She was a prolific writer and painter. Roger Fry, an art critic and painter, organized exhibitions of post-impressionists' paintings in 1910 and 1912. He was also associated with the group of Apostles. Leonard Woolf was a publisher, writer and commentator, and he was more involved in the arena of journalism and political writings than in literary sphere. His novel, The Village in the Jungle, presents anti-imperialist theme. Leonard Woolf, like Roger Fry, was linked to the group of Apostles. Clive Bell, husband of Vanessa Stephen, produced his theory of significant form in his work called Art, which emphasizes the importance of form in a work of art. Clive Bell was greatly influenced by Roger Fry. He produced a work, Civilization, which is pregnant with irony and wit. He remarked that civilization is itself artificial and marked with discrimination, reason and tolerance. As a central figure of the Bloomsbury group, Virginia Woolf depicted a fictional world which cannot be called a reflection of the actual world. She created a world of her own which is devoid of the coarseness and roughness of life. She excluded the ugly and coarser issues of common life from her works. According to D.H. Lawrence, the Bloomsbury group was a tight little world peopled by upper-middle-class black beetles.
How is the video? I hope you liked the video. This is my 4th video on the series Literary Clubs and Groups. The next video will come soon. I am very much thankful once again to my subscribers and non-subscribers. If you have any suggestion, you can put your comment in the comment box below so that I can make videos on your suggested topics. If you really like the content produced by this channel, do like and subscribe Literature Guide. If you want to get more information, you can get help from the website. The link of the website is there on the screen. I will meet you soon with a new and fresh topic of English literature. Meet you.
Please subscribe Literature Guide.